Well, hello and welcome to Down with the Reading Quiz. Friends, if you don't already know us, I'm Marie and this is Amanda, and we are the team at Brave New Teaching, and we are so excited to have you here today because we are going to do a very fast, hopefully you have downloaded the workbook fast, wham bam, of our favorite formative assessments. We're going to tell you all the reasons that they're our favorites and all the reasons that they absolutely work and how they're going to revolutionize your classroom, and we're very excited, right?
Yes, that is correct. And I am so excited to give you some new options. The whole goal of today is to show our teacher friends how to use formative assessment to kind of be that missing piece of what you're feeling when you're getting into a unit. You're like, are we going where we want to go or not? And I think we're so focused on summatives sometimes that we forget that formatives are really what are measuring progress over the time that we're with our students through a particular unit. And so by the end of today's workshop, we are guaranteed going to have in your hands 3 different types of assessments that you can use in various contexts. And we're going to show you how to grade them with rubrics.
Yes. And you can use them tomorrow. We know that it's the end of the school year. We know it's May. As we're recording this, we are doing this very much on purpose because this can be added on to your summative assessments if you're already at that point to really see what students have learned. Promise we understand the timing here and this is done on purpose. And make sure that you stick around because at the end of all of this, we're going to explain something that might just really fit well into your summer plans. Chances are, if you're here with us right now, you're nerdy like us. Therefore, we've got some really exciting things with some bonuses and some overhauls and things that we have done with our signature course that we're excited to tell you about.
So before we get started, we know how hard this can be as teachers, as moms, as humans living in this year of our lives. Do everything you can to minimize distractions and really be here and be present with us. I know that everyone I've talked to who's gone through this masterclass before has said they've had to watch it multiple times, but that doesn't have to be the way if you are focused and in the zone with us. We need about 30 to 45 minutes of your time to just really dig into these things. And there's so much information that if you have the workbook by you and you're ready to get down to business and there's no one distracting you, you're going to get the most out of what we have to share today.
Yeah, take notes. We're going to go fast. And you are also in the right place. These are all of the pain points, right, that we felt and feel sometimes, and this is what we are aiming to solve. If you're frustrated because your kids aren't reading and they're maybe just not engaging with content, I know that I have that trouble all the time, and I use these things, and this I watch day to day when these assessments immediately right some of these negative behaviors that I'm seeing from my students. I'm ready to keep kids accountable, but you're maybe not sure how to do so. We're going to talk about that. We're ready to diversify and shake up our curriculum. Maybe you started doing that and you got really excited about it, in the last couple of years, and then the almost hellscape that is teaching right now came back into your view and you're like, I can't do it. And you slid back. Well, let's go back into shaking things up. And it's a little bit overwhelming. We're going to help you get started. We're also here if you're ready to move student assessments away from that place of recall towards actually skill assessment and looking at their performance and what they can do, not just what they can remember.
That's the biggest reason I think we're here and we were so compelled to build this masterclass is because we are done with reading quizzes as they were known for us as students, and they've still been used. We know that there's a better way. That's what today is all about, is that better way. My name is Amanda, and I'm so excited to be here today. I was just talking to Marie before we were recording, and it's funny because I love curriculum and I love teaching. I currently am out of the classroom serving schools all over the country. I'm going to California in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Texas in the summer, and I love doing PD with schools. I actually have fallen so deeply in love with teaching teachers in this season of life, and that's always something that I loved, and it's just grown for me so much now. But I have 13 years of classroom experience, a lot of experience in professional development, but I'm also a plant lady. There is a life outside of my borderline freaky obsession with curriculum and instruction. And I love plants. I've got some kids, and I love my friend Marie, and we've been doing this for a long time together. And so I love the weird things that the internet can do for friendships. I'm so grateful for that.
1000%. And I'm Marie, and I am rounding out my 17th year in the classroom, getting ready for year 18. Like, I am not stopping anytime soon. I am also a mom, and my oldest is going to be in middle school next year. It's going to be very, very soon that my own children are walking the halls of my school, and they're going to be at my high school where I teach. And so that fuels my passion for helping other teachers out there who, for whatever reason, want to shake things up, maybe feel a little bit lost, maybe just feel a little bit alone, or are seeing just the changing, ever-changing needs of children in their current place, in our younger generations. They are not the same kids we were, and we need to change and adapt to them just as much as they need to learn how to navigate the world that we are in as well. And so that's what we are here for, is breaking that status quo.
And talking about books and coffee. And if you heard us on the podcast, like that's, we're all that too.
You want to talk about fantasy novels? Like, girl, I'm here. It's just not today.
Join that conversation now.
I know you can. I know you can. And it's very exciting.
It is.
Before we get into that fantasy, let's play pretend, though. Could you imagine? Do you like that segue?
That's good transition.
What it would be like to know exactly what your students are learning and the specific steps to get them where they need to be. It's taking that dirty word data and that clinical look at education, but doing so in a way that is highly informed and is part of not just the skills, but the craft of teaching. That is the practice that we are talking about today.
So before we kind of jump into the assessments, Marie and I always talk about backwards planning. And so we can't just arbitrarily throw a bunch of assessments out there if we're not talking about rubrics. Because if we want to have skills-focused assessments, that's where we're going to be looking at them, is on the rubric. So when we build rubrics, we're building them not just for summatives, but also for formative, so that we are, right, spiraling those skills, they're layering, whatever metaphor you like. And for traditionally, right, like kind of like this down with the reading quiz mentality is, for a long time, reading quizzes especially have been 10 points, 15 points. I'm keeping you accountable for having done your reading. And they were kind of arbitrary and attached to a random assortment of points, depending on how badly we wanted to punish kids for not reading. No, I'm like 75% teasing on that one.
Yeah, so you're not even really joking.
But when we move toward rubrics for these kinds of assessments, it also helps move us toward skill focus. So it is if the goal of a formative assessment is to measure growth, we should be using grading tools that will help kids see that measured progress. And we also believe deeply in the reusing of things in our curriculum, not because we're lazy or tired, but we are both of those things. It's because when kids see the same formats, the same expectations multiple times, that's what gives them time to practice getting better at the things and then seeing their progress over time. So when we show you some of these rubrics today, we expect to use them multiple times. The scores and the point values can be helpful too, as long as kids get it and they know how it works.
Let's just dive in, shall we? And again, I'm about to go kind of bananas fast because we want to make sure we get all of this through for you. Take down your notes. Here we go. You've definitely heard us talk about this on the podcast if you're a longtime listener. And if you are new around here, the next step is going to be to go to the Brave New Teaching podcast archives and listen to a bunch of different episodes. The Sesame Street quiz is where it's at. I have students that come back year after year into my classroom, and some of my colleagues have started using Sesame Street quizzes in the last few years. And the kids are like, I love these quizzes. At first I hated them, and now I love them.
Yes.
Amanda is really the guru that like brought this into my life. So I want her to explain it to you. And then I'm going to tell you just a few more things about why my students are like, yes, it's a Sesame Street quiz.
That's fun. Your kids must really love you, because they definitely will hate them for a long time.
Yes.
So again, like we're talking about down with the traditional multiple choice types of reading quizzes that were used for a very long time. What the Sesame Street quiz does differently is it's asking students to synthesize their knowledge of something that they've read, but over the course of a larger span of text than maybe traditionally we would have assigned. It can be a shorter expanse, but the goal is for students to pull together what they do know into a response. And so it's the goal here also is to measure growth over time. We know that that's exactly what synthesis is going to do for us. We're moving from recall to making connections. That's a really key component of a Sesame Street quiz. And that they're providing opportunities for students to show up with what they do know. We are leaning into our season of empowering our students and giving them credit and encouragement behind what they were able to ascertain, not trying to see how much they missed.
Mhm.
So the goal behind a Sesame Street quiz is to give students 4 items. These items could be characters, they could be setting places, they could be details, they could be quotes, they could be objects, symbols. They could be a whole lot of things that occurred over the course of this, let's say, 50 to 100 pages worth of text, maybe chapters 1 and 2 of something. And then we're going to ask the students to figure out what the significant relationship is that 3 of those items share. And then more importantly, to write a single sentence defense of the one item that is the outlier. So of course we need to jump into an example right away. I think that that's key. Um,
Absolutely.
have
Well,
you
and
done
I want to
anything with
interrupt
Gatsby?
you.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I'm currently teaching Gatsby and it just makes me so happy. And this is
Dashing.
what my students were so excited about. Honestly, they were like, yes, Sesame Street quiz. It's because they know they can be successful as long as they have some amount of knowledge. Right now, as we're recording, we're in the middle of AP tests. And my students are juniors and they are taking many of them are taking multiple AP tests over the last week and this coming week. And so they are overrun, but I can't stop my American Lit curriculum for AP season. I just can't do it because the whole rest of the class is still there. Right. And I mean, there are many other scenarios, but this is one that's very immediate right now in my classroom. I was able to say this week, you need to read chapters 1 through 5. On Friday, I'm going to quiz you on chapters 1 through 3. You'll be in really good shape if you're at 1 through 5. Read 1 through 3. What that did was it created more opportunities, and it's just far more equitable for the different places and seasons of life some of our students are in and their different responsibilities. This opens them up for so much more possibility for success and being able to access things exactly where they're at. As long as they have some amount of understanding, they can still be successful on a Sesame Street quiz. Okay, I'm sorry, continue.
No, but that's why we're here. That's
Yeah.
is what we're here for, right? Is this exact conversation. And I included 2 real student responses, and we don't have time to go through both of them at the moment, but you can see that both of them, they give you a peek into the student's reading experience for real, right? When we ask, even if we ask open-ended questions that are sometimes they're so open, I think that kids get really intimidated or a little lost in their own sauce. Multiple choice is so finite and true false. I mean, even worse. So with these responses, it's so fascinating to see the thought process and like what my kids actually do know about James Gatz, Dan Cody, The First Kiss with Daisy, and sober, or this idea of sobriety. And they, I don't know. This to me is information, right? Like when I go to the doctor to get, looked at, I want not just a diagnosis, I want information for how to move forward. And like, that's what we really want from a reading assessment, or especially a formative one, because when I can read through these responses, and by the way, I usually only ask 2 to 3 questions. I get plenty of diagnostic information from my students. I really am getting that sense of, okay, number 1, I'm not feeling like nobody's reading. There are definitely kids who are not reading, and that's going to be very apparent to you. But a lot of those kids in between, you're going to see them trying, and it's going to change the way that you see reading, kids, reading assignments, and like moving forward. It's just going to make things so much more information driven, data driven, but not in that yucky way like Marie was talking about. So
Well, no, and it also like welcomes kids into the conversation. It's no longer like stone wall between us.
Yep.
They have always had onus in their own education. If they just didn't read, well, yeah, natural consequences. But now I think that this type of, you can go to the next slide. Let's just keep talking about it. Like this, where they are looking at rubric style grading for all of their assessments or most of their assessments, and not just the final paper at the end, but also these like checks along the way. It's giving students a little bit more of a clear view of their onus in their own education, especially on like little things like this. I give Sesame Street quizzes one question at a time. They get a list of 4 things and that's it. If we're farther along in the book, I'll give them different lists to choose from, and they have to choose one of the lists, and they're only writing me those 2 sentences and that's it. I just want them to have to like really laser focus, and it's wonderful. So yes, let's keep jamming through because we have more to do, but you can see this example of a 5-point scale where students are going for. We have multiple episodes of the podcast where we talk about training students on these sorts of things, literally not on these sorts of things, on literally this rubric.
Yep.
Different exercises that they can learn how to do the skill of the Sesame Street quiz, so that then when it comes time to assess them, they're not also learning that skill. They're just ready to show you what they know and understand. It really has like changed my whole culture when it comes to assessment in my classroom.
Well, I think especially with all the other models we're going to look at today, we also are really interested in how to be authentic with kids about reading. You know, like as an adult, even when I read, like I can finish a 5-star read, and you could ask me one seemingly simple comprehension question, and I'm like, I don't remember the main character's first name, but that doesn't be, you know, as an adult, no one makes me feel bad about that. You know, no one makes me feel bad. I'm still able to like synthesize the big ideas and the themes and my takeaways, but it's in a way that made sense to me and what I pulled together from the text. And I think a 1-pager quiz does a lot of those same things.
Yeah. No, I agree. A 1-pager quiz, the reason that we start with Sesame Street quiz is it's kind of our bread and butter. Yes. Once I feel that students are ready to deviate from a Sesame Street quiz, the next place I go is a 1-pager quiz, and I start peppering these in. And a 1-pager quiz is essentially what it sounds like. If you've ever done a 1-pager in your class, imagine that big project where students are doing a choice board, or they're doing, you know, like all of these different sort of synthesis, maybe even creative and evidence-based activities that are getting put onto one page, but it's zoomed way in to become an assessment. Yes. And it is one of the most telling assessments because it's hard. So. It's like really hard. Yeah.
Here's a few samples. I mean, like, just like Marie said, the idea is to give them, right, the 1-pager template that you design is kind of the frame, right? You're giving them the places where you want them to be, much like a Sesame Street quiz will give you those 4 words. Like, this is the area we want you to be in. And then students can kind of fill in what they do know. And these are a couple of things that I've loved using, like this starburst idea, where in the center, you might have like a single word, you might have a sentence that's like fill in the blank by filling out the things on the outside. This other one of Macbeth, of course, is like a 1-pager, like entirely focused on a character and the themes that are also related to that character. There's so many ways to do a 1-pager quiz.
It's true. Well, and it just depends on, and I've done most of my 1-pager quizzes digitally, where I give students bullet points of things that they need to hit, and then they have a slide to do it on. And there's like 4 bullet points, and it's like tone and mood, identify, and then find me an image and a quote that also, I think this is actually really similar to what I do too. I think I modeled mine off of yours. Yeah. So it can be done in different ways, but it's just that way. It's just strategies for getting at different parts of their thinking and allowing students to see that however they think about it is accessible. Like they can still come to the party.
If you're taking notes on this and you're thinking about particular units, I think that what would be interesting to note would be for a Sesame Street quiz, I would typically be focusing on a whole class novel. I would want everyone to be in the same text for the most part, right? There are ways to do kind of open thematic types of Sesame Street quizzes, but really those are best served with everyone's together in a single text. Whereas a 1-pager quiz, I think what makes that, like what's really powerful about that is like, these are really good for, you know, you're tracing the same essential question, but everyone's reading something different, or you're really kind of focused on some more bigger picture thematic work versus some of the, you know, other kinds of character arcs or things like that that might be happening in a Sesame Street quiz. But you can use them for all the things anytime you choose. So there's lots of beauties there. And a rubric. Here's a suggested rubric. Simple people.
Yep.
Simple.
Zoning in on really what you're trying to get the formative assessment of. Yeah.
Don't overcomplicate it. Make it easy on yourself.
And on them. And then last but not least, this is like the next level up, and it's a writing assignment that assesses their reading and forces them to write a little bit. I call it a paragraph chunk. You might call it like a CD sandwich, but it's basically the pieces of, it's those building blocks of like a formal body paragraph where it's a lead in, concrete detail or evidence, like context, evidence, analysis. And the idea behind a paragraph chunk quiz is that we, with all of the scaffolding on, are giving them pieces of it, and they are filling in the piece that we don't give them with their own knowledge and understanding. So maybe I'm going to give them a quote and I want them to give me a lead in and analysis. Maybe I'm giving them a lead in and a quote and I want them to give me analysis. Maybe maybe I'm giving them a claim or a subclaim, even like a topic sentence, and I want them to write the whole entire paragraph chunk. It just depends on where you're at and what you need from kids. This flexibility is really nice because it will, again, assess both reading and writing skills. And then you're able to do that like slow burn build to a longer written piece. And you've been assessing the little things along the way. And it also has all of the benefits of the Sesame Street quiz and the one pager quiz where it's more equitable. It's easier for students to access depending on where they're at, all of the things.
All of the things.
Yes. So it's just an example from Catching Fire where I gave them just the quote and I want lead in or context, and I want analysis or commentary as to the significance of the character development. Pretty simple and very telling as to where students are. And it's quick enough for me to assess or to grade.
And I think that I love these because I think it puts kids, like, just like Sesame Street, especially, it puts them both at ease, but also on their toes.
Yes.
Right? Like, your choice of evidence is very specific. Like, if you did not read or you did not read closely, you read this piece of evidence, you're going to think, yeah. Huh. But if you, but you're also giving kids that are, right, kind of that middle ground, especially those middle ground kids that came across this passage, but maybe didn't think very hard about it. They're getting the chance to kind of revisit that and bring it back to life and bring themselves back to that focus and be able to write about it. And I love that.
It's nice.
I love it. Yeah. There's a couple other possibilities. Nice. Like Maria's talked about, right, provide your claim. I've done that before. I've given a claim and said, agree or disagree with this claim and finish the paragraph. Again, depending on the claim, that can be very, very specific to a section of reading or very, very broad based on, right, a theme or a character, something more open. I've done before, I provided the entire paragraph except the evidence. That's a really good one. Students are trying to work on that skill of best evidence.
Yeah, which is hard. Yes.
It's very hard. And then, provide the lead in the context or challenge them to write. Those two sentences of analysis are really hard too. So like maybe you give them everything but that, and you can really focus on that skill. Great. Go for it. Do it.
Which is also exactly what we're doing in a Sesame Street quiz. And then here, this is just how to, literally take your writing rubrics and just take out the strips of it that you're actually even assessing here. And then students are getting trained on the rubric for the big old summative at the end. And they're getting some writing instruction and feedback. It's all of the things along the way that make it very, very useful for you as a teacher and for students as learners. Yeah, I love a paragraph chunk quiz.
None of these, I hope one of the biggest takeaways from today's training is that we don't have to catch kids being non-compliant with our expectations. We don't need to be out to get them. It's not gotcha style teaching anymore. We can empower them. We can make them feel validated about what they can do and still measure progress and have accountability and have classroom or class-wide text, but we could do it in a way that values them. And I promise you, if you give these a chance, over time, it's also going to shift the culture in your classroom. Yeah. Because students are going to feel like they're part of things, not like the object of what you've designed to give them. And it's a massive shift that you'll feel over time.
The biggest change that I have seen in the overall culture of my classroom coming from students towards me is it's easy to call it apathy, but it's more of an ambivalence. If they feel like it does not affect them directly, their brain checks out. And
Yeah.
I take offense, like my first response is to take offense. But when everybody's doing it, then that shows me that I need to adapt. And that's where these assessments are fitting into a broader curricular design. And that's where they can be even more powerful if your curriculum is designed and honed in a way that is leaning into that, like, kids are involved in this, and they, yes, I'm the one steering the ship, but they are also helping paddle a little bit. And that's what we're going to show you right now, is how we do that and how you can learn how to do that as well.
Because formatives are important, but they're not the whole picture. You know, we know that the bigger picture surrounding formatives is about inquiry, right? Inquiry and discovery are the best ways for students to learn, but sometimes those two words are very nebulous and hard to hold on to.
Yeah.
We also have seen for years now, this is not new, that the canon alone is simply just not serving our students. It's not serving us the way that it should or could.
As the
And
kids would say, it's not giving.
it's not giving.
Yes.
And we really, I guess I'm saying we, because I'm hoping that's why you're here, is we want to teach authentic, tailor-made units that reflect our teaching personalities, our philosophies, what we know to be good and true about education. But that's not always, we don't always know how to do that. That's what Marie and I
Yeah.
are here to share.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to find yourself feeling however it is that you're feeling right now about teaching, about doing extra work, frankly, to create the curriculum that you want, to change over some of these assessments, because we really are challenging you to try one of these assessments this week. You know, give it a go, see what you can do, come up with a list of 4 things and see what your students can do. And then come back to kind of this decision-making time. Like, are you ready right now to keep trudging along and to teach material that might not feel as effective as you know it could be, maybe is not authentic to you, and you just feel lacking? How do I know that you might be feeling this way? Because I have felt that way many, many times. And I know very well what it is to not know exactly what my students are learning and be like, I mean, I hope I'm effective. Or are you ready to move forward and to push the needle and commit to crafting, not just for yourself, but for your students, relevant and dynamic curriculum and a full year map and calendar that will satisfy all of your own teaching goals, all of the objectives that you have, and what your students need. And you can get started like right now. What do you mean?
I like option 2 personally.
I mean, same.
Um,
Yes.
and so Marie and I, we would like to invite you to seriously consider joining us in curriculum rehab this summer specifically.
Mhm.
We have been working on this course for such a long time with our teachers, and we know that summer is the best time for people, for the most part, to revamp, rethink, or begin anew. Because raise your hand if you've ever been reassigned something or told, oh, in August you're actually teaching this, and
Mhm.
it's July 1st, right? Like we've all been there. We know that summertime is a great time to revamp curriculum. And if you are at a position now that you're feeling like, oh, I really want to do this, but I need the tools and support to make it happen the way that I want it to. Hi,
Hello.
we're here.
Join us.
This is
It's
us.
so fun.
We're
Yes.
ready.
Yes.
We're one of a kind.
We are, because curriculum rehab is the only curriculum. What am I trying to say? Like, it's the only professional development based on curriculum of its kind.
Yeah.
We have created this professional development program, and we're going to tell you more about it ourselves, classroom teachers. We not only show you exactly how to design curriculum that is focused, well organized, but also put you in it and let yourself feel organic and authentic, and show you and what your students need from you in the content and in the strategies that you use. It's all in there. And
It sounds a little too good to be
use
true,
it.
though.
It does sound too good to be true, but we have it in 5 modules.
Yes.
We do like this rehab idea. It comes from, like, the rehab shows of HGTV. And so we start at the foundation, and we really do walk you through A lot of the things that you probably talked about in your credential program, and a lot of the things that you should have and wish you had talked about in your credential program, and things that you wish you had like looking back, I wish I had the insight that I have now to go through and establish my why, as taboo of a saying as that is. But like now where I am, that would have been very helpful, that sort of information. So to really build a very strong foundation. And then from there, we start moving up. We start building blocks. We look at inquiry as a driving force in all learning that's going to be taking place, and the design of that learning, and lots of essential questions, different ways to write essential questions. And we spend some good time in really crafting that inquiry so that you are ready to guide students through it.
Well, listen, we talk about, look at Marie's cute face and look at my
that's
cute
something.
face. Yikes. We talk a lot about these things already on the podcast. So you might be thinking, okay, well, you give us plenty of support and like you've explained it, like I get it. That's great. If that's all you needed, that's wonderful. Like we will
Sure.
always do that. We will always support you with a free episode on that podcast every single week. Like we are working really hard to deliver that to you always. However, this is what the course looks like on the inside. I wanted for you guys to see like module 2 Marie just described. So we have these are the things here, the building blocks. Here, well, this is the video. I guess you can only really see module 1 here. That's okay. But you can see what we're doing is we are actually walking through this whole process with you step by step by step by step, through videos, through handouts, exercises, resources. It is completely and totally guided. And we are just, I don't know, we're so passionate about this. And Marie and I keep coming back to this over and over again. It is our passion project to share this with you. So once you've kind of gone through those first 2, you'll go into module 3, which is the blueprint. Like that's when things start coming together. It's the lesson planning. We're starting to organize things on an actual calendar. We're organizing our units into units and what that flow can look like. And then in module 4, this is where we kind of fill in all of those other things that we need along the way. So if we've got our gateway, we've got our assessments, we're kind of got the frame. Now we're going to move backwards and put everything where it needs to go. We've got a lot of sample unit walkthroughs in this module that are really, really helpful because we actually take a real Gatsby unit, a real 1,000 Splendid Suns unit, and we actually walk you through the process of what it looks like to fill out that whole calendar. And bonus, not even bonus, like for real, one of the things that we did when we kind of started cleaning things up from the very first iteration of curriculum rehab is we thought, maybe we should just build a map alongside our teachers and show them exactly what we're talking about. So you can see here, like this is the map that we are building alongside you, as like we're building one while you're building yours, and a lot of the handouts that we share with our teachers as we go.
Yeah, we fill this in step by step along the way. We are, like Amanda said, building a year-long plan with you as you go. It's pretty cool. And then at the very end, we look at different ways to use technology and different assessments and different tools to really enhance. That's why we call it the smart home. The curriculum, we get so many gimmicky sorts of things to our inbox at our school-based PDs. Just on social media, right? Like I get all sorts of ads and things, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool tool. But like, I've definitely been subject to trying something out and then going, wait, does this do anything for me? We talk through how to use the things that you want to use, the shiny objects, and where to put them and how to implement them in a way that enhances your curriculum and isn't just tiring and like weird, like distracting.
My favorite part of this slide is like, I want you to picture the end of being at the end of this course. At the end of your time with us, you will have a clear and detailed map of your entire school year.
Yep.
Can you imagine the relief that that's going to be? Like, it's going to be work. We're not, we're not promising anything cute, fun, fuzzy, or even sparkly at this point. It's going to be work. Like, you're going to put in the work over your summer break, which, I think some of us feel a little bit of a way about. However, I know that when this work is done, I'm picturing the end Amanda and then the school year Amanda, who's walking into 9 months of controlled chaos And I think
Yeah.
that that's worth a few hours over the summer to get to that point.
It's also really energizing for a lot of us to be able to create this and feel good about it. This is that creative outlet that a lot of us look for when it comes to planning. It's not just being creative and making cool things that then will fizzle and burn out by the time you actually get to teach them, comes from experience. This is creating this year-long plan that has all of that creativity in it and is sustainable. And I can like actually do it because I see where it fits into the whole entire year. It legitimately has made it so that I have stayed in this profession and haven't left. Like, that's it. That's what makes it doable.
This is what we believe in. And we want you to join us, not because, like Murray said, there's no gimmick here. We want you to be with us because of what we care about. And we believe that what matters to us also matters to you. And so when you join Curriculum Rehab, what you're going to see is a student-centered experience, right? Kids are always at the heart of making big and little decisions about our curriculum. We are inquiry driven. We're not about shoving 45 classic novels down a kid's throat. We want to ask big, juicy questions and let the books and the texts and the podcasts and the research all drive us toward new and more broad understandings of the world and ourselves. And critical thinking. I want a critical thinker to graduate from my class more than anything else. That is so important to me.
Yeah.
And that's what Curriculum Rehab is going to prioritize.
Absolutely. We also have some bonus materials that like after the fact, we went, oh, we can make this. Oh, we can make this too. Oh, we can make this too. We've got a whole formative assessment sampler. So those Sesame Street quizzes, those one-pager quizzes, the, what am I trying to say? Writing paragraph chunk. Oh my gosh.
You got it.
Sorry, everybody. Those quizzes, we've got a whole like bank, basically a sampler of different examples for you. We've got a roadmap for lesson planning, which is like a step-by-step kind of guide to take you along the way. Whole sampler of gateway activities, which are some of our favorite things to talk about on the podcast. And then also, I think that the one that we've heard the most, like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad this is in here from our hundreds of teachers that have gone through Curriculum Rehab, is the Essential Question Group Brainstorm Bank. It is a whole group hive mind, all of these different examples of brainstorming essential questions. It's really invaluable. Yes.
And listen,
we also have, sorry.
Yeah, no. I was just going to say, I mean, we also get it. Like we've had this happen before and it's totally fine. If you get in there, you look around and you're like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or this isn't what I need right now. We're happy to give you a 10-day money back guarantee. We believe in it. And we also believe that like, maybe it's not what you need, even though you thought you did. No problem.
Yeah.
Within 10 days, we'll happily refund your purchase.
Absolutely. So overall, our signature Curriculum Rehab experience, which is what we are talking about so far, what all of those hundreds of teachers have gone through, is a one-time payment. It is lifetime access year after year for the course and all of its future iterations. It includes an exclusive like private Facebook group with immediate support, because there are hundreds of teachers in there that have either just enrolled when you have or have already been in Curriculum Rehab for a while. We've also got an option just for the signature Curriculum Rehab experience of small group coaching, which is just for this summer, which will be a small group cohort live support to take you through this work. And it also includes all of those bonuses we just talked about. That one-time price is $397. And we know going into summer, that's kind of a lot. So we do have some other summer specials that we're going to talk about in a minute, but that's like the big one. Okay.
So if you'd prefer a version where maybe you don't think you're going to need Curriculum Rehab forever, I know a lot of our teachers revisit it summer after summer after summer, and like they invest once and they use it forever. But if you feel like, I think I want to just kind of dip my toe, we have two other kind of monthly options. So if you wanted to have it, we're kind of thinking like September, right? So like we're toward the end of May here. We would, this would kind of cover the whole summer and then the first month of school year. We are happy to share the summer session for you, access to the bonuses. And for $75 a month, we'll also add the Facebook group if you'd like. If you don't want to be part of the Facebook group and like kind of that like collaborative support system, we could also do a $45 a month option where you would kind of just have Curriculum Rehab, get in, get what you need, get out, and then, come back again if you want.
Yeah.
But those are the other options that we are just this year making available to teachers if that's something that is more flexible for you.
I'm that teacher that I need to know my timeline. I need to know what I'm getting into. June, July, August, September, I can handle that in my brain. I can't always handle the longevity of things. So that's kind of where that summer session is coming from. And what we have for you right now is a list of some of the new features that we've included in 2024. We did a whole revamp and it was a lot. And it was also very fun because we are nerds. But I mean, some of the things that we have done is like whole new overview videos of what you're going to be getting in each different lesson. We have got videos from our different workshops. So if you have done maybe our dystopia workshop or one of our Shakespeare workshops, or you're like, what are you talking about? You can see samples of that within here because all of the curriculum we talk about in our different workshops that are very English language arts niche focused. We've got different samples of them in here. They all follow the curriculum rehab model of design.
So those members who are part of the signature experience, right, this one-time payment, what's really cool about being part of this lifetime opportunity is that you're going to get all of these updates no matter what, right? They're going to come to you as soon as Marie and I see a need to evolve and like add and clean up or adjust, we're going to do it. And it's going to just be yours no matter what. So in this last update, we added these curriculum maps. They were kind of redesigned for people. We added these videos that were the progress check videos. That was a huge, huge update. We also added some speaking of screenshots of our faces, goodness.
I don't want to talk about it.
What is happening there?
I don't want to talk about it.
But we added some in our workshop series. Marie and I talk about poetry, memoir, like we have all these kind of content specific workshops. Some of the videos in those workshops are very aligned with some of those individual modules that we have in curriculum rehab. So we actually pulled extra trainings from those videos and put them into curriculum rehab so that you can see more examples of what we're talking about in the context of you designing your curriculum. So it's one thing to see it like in the workshop if you're focusing on dystopia, but it's another to see like what we did with that text in module 2 as you're building out your curriculum, maybe even in a totally different genre or skill set, but we have all that now lined up for you in a fresh new way. And after all of that work, we ended up with an additional 100 minutes of new content, which means the certificate of completion that we send out is for 12 hours. That is the time it takes to go through the course and the time that we've kind of allotted for you to do the work. It may be longer than that, depending on like what you've been given and where you're headed and how much specificity you need. But that is what we offer to you. You can do with it what you need to. But that's what we offer to all of our teachers who complete the entire course.
Jean-Luc Picard had a great time.
He really did.
He really did.
That's the sample they gave me. I don't know what to tell you, Marie. That's what they gave me.
I'm all in. Listen, I'm all in. We can talk all day, obviously, as you can see, but we just wanted to show you some of our teacher friends who have already gone through curriculum rehab. And some of the FAQs that we get are like, do I have to have, X number of years under my belt in the classroom before curriculum rehab works for me? No, not necessarily. We've got Amanda P. I'm a second-year teacher and struggled with getting excited about what I was teaching last year because it felt so boring. This course helped me more than any teaching class I took in my program. That is what we are looking for. We want you to be able to feel that the things that you felt were lacking when you were all of a sudden thrown into a classroom all by yourself are covered and that we've got your back because we know that feeling. Here, I love this one from Nicole. Like, this is the best, right?
She rehabbed her Lord of the Flies. I love how curriculum rehab has become a verb in her testimonial.
I know. That's what I mean. Like, I like that we're making new words. It's the best.
Well, and I love this example too. Like we started off exploring the CQ, which form of power is stronger, that gained through fear or that gained through respect. I feel like we all just learned something today. Thank you for your feedback, Nicole.
Right.
And they did a group Sesame Street quiz on power, fear, respect, and leader. And she just goes on to say like it was so good. And I know that she just thank you.
Well, and then just that it promoted that deep critical thinking that we're looking for, right? I know.
Well, and Haley was the same way, right? She was so excited to complete curriculum rehab, and
I
I
did
just
it. Yeah.
warms my heart that she said, this is the guidance I've yearned for. It will be her second year of teaching. She was overwhelmed with the planning process. The pressure is most certainly on when the task of state testing is present, and I often felt incompetent because planning lessons became such a daunting process. Um,
Yeah.
she was so excited about how beneficial it was. And I mean, this is key too. She plans to revisit it frequently. So remember, when you're thinking about like which option is best for you, I think that you need to remember, like, are you going to want to revisit this, or are you going to get what you need and be done? Because those are the two big
Mhm.
options there, that we really want you to consider when you join us for curriculum rehab. And she said that she'd pay for this course 4 times over. Godspeed. Not dramatic.
Not at all. But I
The
mean,
teachers
we all
are
know
amazing.
how that feels, not being able to see the forest through the trees. Like I've felt that way, not just early in my career, but at other times along the way. Even this year, I've felt that way. But what I have now that I didn't have then is this strategy under my belt, this whole methodology that we put together in curriculum rehab to help myself dig my way out of that drowning feeling. Where am I? Because I always know where I'm going. I always know what I want in the end. And I have that year-long look. This is just some of the examples of things that you would see in that private group. It's truly like a giant PLC, if you will.
Yes.
Like, and it's PLC for curriculum rehab teachers. And so they're sharing resources and essential questions and all sorts of great things and just advice and answering each other's questions and coming up with different text ideas. It really is pretty great. And we are happy to be, I get things from my classroom out of our Facebook group. It's pretty great.
Well, it's not right. It's not a big Facebook group. It's just students for curriculum rehab. So you're not
Yeah.
going to get anybody like trying to sell you oils or anything. So that's good. That's good. So just as a refresher, right, that our signature offer, this is what we've always had and we've always shared with our teachers, is this one-time payment. You have it for a lifetime. You're in the Facebook group forever, as long as you want to be there. We're offering this summer for an additional price, but it's going to be small group coaching only for these teachers. And we've got 5 coaches on standby to coach new curriculum rehab students. And the coaches have been through curriculum rehab themselves, and they're going to be taking on small groups and then doing some stuff with me. I'm really, really excited for this option, but we can only offer it to a small group of people. So we'd love to have you there. And then, of course, our bonuses. And we know that this is incredibly valuable, especially because of that lifetime piece, because of how many courses, how many summers, how many winter breaks that it can be used. And we would
Mhm.
love for you to join us today. But we also have these other options.
Yeah. Reminder, if you just want to do the summer session, June, July, August, September, here you go. What do you need? Find what works for you. And if you have the option to use school funds, head to shop.bravenewteaching.com/curriculum rehab, and you will see a 1-pager of information that you can go,
Yep.
here you go, administrator. Here you go, department chair. Get me this. And there you go. You can even show them those options if you would like to. The $397 is the one that is actually on that 1-pager. But if you want to be like, also, I just want to do it this summer. We want to do a cohort of our
Yeah.
department and we just want to do the curriculum rehab only because we're going to do this as a 9th grade team. Great. Give that paper to your admin and get like, because that's what they're going to need to get the funds, allocated and greenlit and all of that. So we really do hope that this is something that is exciting for you. If it feels overwhelming, just join us on the podcast. We'll see you there every Thursday. It's
Always.
fine. But if this is something that you're like, actually, this might be like it was for me and like it was for Amanda in the classroom and like it is for so many teachers that we both talk to, kind of that thing, learning this methodology and like the things that are best practice and having them articulated in the way that we have worked to do so might be that thing that kind of saves your teacher spirit and helps you have the energy to keep going. We are happy to provide that. And we can't wait to get started with you because it really did like change everything for us. So
Well, thank you for being here. I hope that you're ready to go redo some formative assessments and try them out for before the school year ends, or maybe just make plans for next year and how you're going to kick things off with some Sesame Street quizzes and trying your 1-pagers and trying your paragraph chunk quizzes. We are all ears. If you have questions, please let us know. And thank you for being here and for being wonderful listeners.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.